All right, get this. We're diving deep into this article, and it's boldly claiming, doctors won't tell you this, the best herbs for blood sugar control.
Oh,
I
wow.
know, right?
Yeah.
Catchy title. But, chances are you're here because, well, you're looking into some natural options, maybe things that could work alongside your regular treatment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to unpack these herbs, see what's what, and our guide for this journey is going to be Jeff the herbalist, the author of this piece.
Sounds good.
But, we're here to separate the facts from the hype.
Of course, always a good idea.
So Jeff throws out all these names like cinnamon, fenugreek, and even, get this, gymnema sylvestre. He calls it the sugar destroyer.
The sugar destroyer.
I know, right? Sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, it does.
So are we talking like common kitchen staples here, or are these some kind of exotic potions we got to hunt down?
Well, you might be surprised. Some are actually pretty common and some not so much. But the key here is really understanding which ones, have solid science behind them and which ones are still like in those early research stages.
Gotcha. So it's not just about like, oh, this herb does this, but more about, okay, how much evidence do we actually have for that?
Right. Evidence is key. And speaking of herbs, let's kick things off with aloe vera.
Aloe vera, like the stuff we use for sunburns.
Exactly. The very same. Now, a lot of us use it for soothing the skin, but Jeff claims it's not just skin deep, He says it could potentially protect your pancreas.
Wait a minute, hold on. Pancreas protection. I thought we were talking about managing blood sugar directly. How does the pancreas fit into this?
It's all connected. Think of your pancreas as like the insulin factory of your body, right?
Right.
And inside the pancreas, you've got these super important cells called beta cells. These guys are the ones that actually produce insulin. Now, research from way back in 2013 actually suggests that aloe vera might help these beta cells regenerate and stay healthy. And there's even a more recent review from 2020 that supports its role in keeping the pancreas happy and, blood sugar stable.
So it's not just about managing the blood sugar that's already there, but potentially helping your body make more of its own insulin.
That's the idea. But of course, we always need more research to really confirm those long-term effects. And of course, everyone's different, so how someone responds to aloe vera can vary.
Right, makes sense. Okay, so aloe vera, interesting. What's next on our list?
Well, let's move on to another pretty common one, cinnamon.
Cinnamon,
Yeah.
Seriously. The stuff I sprinkle on my oatmeal.
You got it. Now, I personally love cinnamon. I put it on pretty much everything. But could it really, make a difference with blood sugar?
Right. It seems almost too good to be true.
It does, doesn't it?
But, okay, Jeff here cites a 2016 review that found cinnamon actually helped improve both fasting glucose, that's your blood sugar after you haven't eaten, right? And A1C levels, which is basically your average blood sugar over a longer period. So are we talking like a big improvement here or just a tiny blip?
Well, the results are definitely promising, I'll say that. That 2016 review showed improvements in both of those measures. And there's even a newer review from 2019 suggesting that cinnamon could potentially help reduce insulin resistance.
And insulin resistance remind me again why that's so important.
Sure. Insulin resistance basically means your cells aren't responding to insulin as well as they should. It's a big deal when it comes to managing blood sugar in the long run.
Okay, so not just a quick fix, but potentially helping to improve how your body handles sugar overall.
Right.
So even though we probably shouldn't expect, miracles from our spice rack, there's at least enough evidence to be curious about cinnamon, especially since it's so easy to, add to our diets.
Yeah, exactly. Easy and delicious.
Okay, what about this fenugreek? That one sounds a little more exotic.
Fenugreek is really interesting because it potentially tackles two things at once. A 2015 study found that people who were taking fenugreek powder twice a day for 3 years saw some pretty significant drops in both their blood sugar and their cholesterol levels.
Wow, so a double win. That's impressive.
It is, yeah. And the article mentions you can use it in a few different ways, like powder, capsules, or even the leaves in cooking.
So there's some flexibility there depending on how adventurous you're feeling in the kitchen.
Exactly. And, what's especially relevant here is that cholesterol management is often a concern for people with diabetes, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So finding a natural approach that could potentially address both, that's a pretty big deal.
Okay, this gymnema sylvestre, the sugar destroyer. I gotta ask, does this stuff actually make you hate sweets?
Well, it's not about hating sweets exactly. The way it works is actually pretty fascinating.
Okay, tell me more.
So it's got these compounds in it called gymnemic acids, and they actually interact with your taste buds, and they can temporarily block how you perceive sweetness.
So it's like turning down the volume on your sugar cravings.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's not a magic solution, of course, but research does suggest that it could be helpful for managing those cravings.
Interesting. So no more late-night cookie binges?
Well, we can always hope, right?
Right.
And there's even more to it. Some studies even suggest that gymnema might actually help your body produce more insulin.
Really?
Yeah, so it could be working on a few different levels.
Wow, okay. Gymnema sylvestre. I'm adding that to my list to research. What else have we got?
All right, up next, Jeff mentions holy basil and neem. He talks about holy basil potentially helping to stabilize blood sugar throughout the day. And he thinks it might have to do with how our bodies use glycogen. Can you remind me what's a glycogen again?
Yeah, it's how your body stores glucose for later.
Yeah, exactly. It's like your body's backup energy reserve. When your blood sugar starts to dip, your body breaks down glycogen to release glucose back into the bloodstream.
Okay, so it's all about keeping things steady, avoiding those big ups and downs in blood sugar.
Right. And holy basil is thought to somehow influence how efficiently that glycogen gets used, which could be why it helps prevent those dramatic blood sugar swings.
So less of an energy roller coaster, more of a smooth ride.
Exactly. That would be a game changer for a lot of people, for sure.
All right, what about neem? What's the story with that one?
Jeff cites some really interesting research on neem, but it's important to point out that these studies were done on diabetic rats.
Okay, so not humans yet.
Right. But the results were pretty impressive. The rats that were given neem extract showed significant improvements in their blood sugar levels. And there's a bonus. The study also found that their cholesterol levels improved.
So neem could be a multitasker, helping with both blood sugar and cholesterol? That's pretty cool.
It is, yeah. But of course, we need more research specifically in humans to really confirm these findings.
Makes sense. Animal studies are a great starting point, but they don't always translate perfectly to humans, right?
Exactly. But they definitely spark our curiosity, and that's kind of the whole point of this deep dive, right? To explore these possibilities and see where the science leads us.
I like that, a journey of exploration. So what's next on our herbal adventure?
Well, let's move on to milk thistle. Now, this one might seem a little less direct when it comes to blood sugar.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does milk thistle fit into this picture?
Well, this is where the whole holistic approach comes in. Milk thistle is traditionally known for supporting liver health, right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
And your liver plays a pretty crucial role in regulating blood sugar. So while the research on milk thistle's direct impact on blood sugar is kind of mixed, some people do find it helpful, especially when they combine it with other herbs.
So it might not be a solo act, but more of a team player, supporting the body's overall systems.
Exactly. It's about thinking about the bigger picture.
All right, makes sense. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about garlic. I'm guessing most of us probably already have some in our kitchens.
Probably. It's a staple for a reason.
So what's the connection between garlic and blood sugar?
Garlic has this compound in it called allicin, and studies suggest that allicin might help improve blood sugar levels and triglyceride levels too.
Triglycerides, those are a type of fat found in the blood, right?
That's right. And it seems like fresh garlic might be the most effective form.
So maybe time to add a little extra garlic to those stir fries.
Could be a delicious way to get your dose.
I'm all for that. But before we all go on a garlic chomping spree, Jeff has a whole section in here about precautions. And, I think that's really important to talk about.
It is, yeah. It's easy to think that because something is natural, it's automatically safe.
Right, like herbs can't hurt you.
But that's not always the case. They can have side effects, just like anything else. And they can even interact with medications in ways that could be dangerous.
So we can't just start taking handfuls of herbs without doing our research and talking to our doctor, especially if we're already on medication.
Definitely not. And another really important point that Jeff makes is that the FDA doesn't regulate herbal supplements the same way they regulate pharmaceuticals.
So it's a bit of a wild west out there.
Kind of, yeah. And that means the quality and purity of these supplements can vary a lot between different brands.
So it's not just about what you're taking, but also where you're getting it from.
Exactly. Choosing a reputable brand that does third-party testing is really important.
Okay, so much to think about. Aloe vera, cinnamon, fenugreek, gymnema. We've just scratched the surface of this whole world of herbs.
We have, and it's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. And before we get lost in the weeds, so to speak, maybe it's time for a little reflection.
I agree. Take a moment and think about all the herbs we've discussed so far. Which one really grabbed your attention? Which one are you most curious to learn more about?
Yeah, what piqued your interest? Hold on to that thought as we continue our deep dive into some of the less familiar herbs. Welcome back. I hope you've had a chance to think about those herbal all-stars we talked about, the ones that really stood out to you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so Jeff's article, it takes us a little deeper into the jungle now.
Into the jungle.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, with all these herbs.
I like that.
So there's this whole section on herbal plants with anti-diabetic properties.
Okay.
And the first one that really jumped out at me was holy basil.
Holy basil.
I know, right? It's like we always hear about it for stress relief and all that.
Yeah, for sure.
But Jeff's saying it could also play a role in blood sugar management.
Interesting.
I know. It's like one plant, so many benefits.
It is pretty amazing how, one plant can do so much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's like, what can't plants do at this point?
Right.
But okay, so with holy basil, what's interesting is he talks about its potential impact on glycogen metabolism.
Glycogen metabolism.
Yeah, remember how we talked about glycogen being like the body's way of storing glucose?
Right.
Well, holy basil might be able to influence how efficiently our bodies use that glycogen.
Oh, I see.
Which could mean, fewer blood sugar spikes and crashes throughout the day. So instead of those, energy roller coasters,
Exactly.
it's more of a smooth ride.
Yeah, smooth ride. I like that. That would be a game changer for so many people who are, trying to manage their blood sugar.
For sure.
All right. What's next on this herbal treasure hunt?
Okay, let's venture into the realm of neem.
Neem. Okay.
Yeah, Jeff seems really excited about this one. He highlights its potential for lowering blood sugar. And he even cites a study where diabetic rats were given neem extract, and they saw some pretty significant improvements in their blood sugar levels.
Neem extract.
And there's an added bonus. The study also found that their cholesterol profiles improved.
Oh, wow. So neem could be like a multitasking marvel.
Right? Tackling multiple things at once.
I like it. But I'm always curious about the how, what's the science behind all these effects?
Yeah, that's the important part.
So how does neem work with its magic?
Well, the article suggests that certain compounds in neem leaves, they might actually mimic the action of insulin in the body. So essentially, they could be helping your cells absorb glucose more efficiently.
So it's like tricking the body into thinking there's more insulin.
In a way, yeah. It's like giving those cells a little extra help in using that glucose.
Fascinating. It's like these plants have their own little strategies for dealing with blood sugar.
They do. It's incredible.
Like they're little biochemists or something.
Right. They've got their own little systems going on.
Okay, I'm ready for the next herbal star.
Mm-hmm.
What else is on our list?
All right, let's turn our attention to a tiny but mighty fruit. The Indian gooseberry, or amla.
Amla. Okay. I've heard of that, but I don't know much about it.
It's a powerhouse, packed with antioxidants.
Antioxidants, those are the good guys, right? The ones that protect our cells from damage.
Exactly. They help shield our cells from those nasty free radicals that can cause all sorts of problems.
And I remember from some of our previous deep dives that this protection is especially important for people with diabetes, right?
You're exactly right. High blood sugar can create a state of oxidative stress, which basically means there are more of those damaging free radicals floating around.
And that can lead to more damage to cells and tissues, right?
Exactly. And that's where amla comes in as a powerful protector.
Okay, so it's like amla's coming to the rescue, fighting out those free radicals.
Exactly. Jeff highlights some recent clinical studies that show amla extract can significantly reduce both fasting and after-meal blood sugar levels.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It is, and that reduction in blood sugar could mean less oxidative stress and ultimately less damage to your cells over time.
So it's like a long-term investment in your health.
I like that way of thinking about it.
It's amazing how something so small can have such a big impact.
It really is.
Yeah.
And Jeff even mentions that some of his patients report feeling more energized after adding amla to their routine.
Oh, interesting.
It makes you wonder about all the subtle ways these herbs might be improving overall well-being, beyond just the numbers on a blood sugar monitor.
Yeah, it's not just about the data, it's about how you feel, too.
Exactly. It's about the whole experience.
Okay, this next one sounds a little prickly. Literally.
Prickly.
Yeah, prickly pear cactus or nopal. Are we talking about actually eating the cactus here?
You got it. Jeff says the cactus pads can be eaten fresh, cooked, or even taken as supplements.
Wow. Okay. I've never thought about eating cactus before.
It might sound a little strange, but it's actually quite common in some cultures.
Interesting. But I guess if it can help with blood sugar control, it might be worth a try, right?
Right. It's all about exploring different options, but Jeff does advise starting with small amounts, especially if you're new to it.
Okay, good advice. Even with natural remedies, it's always smart to start slow and see how your body reacts.
Absolutely. Listen to your body. It knows best.
Okay, so we've got prickly pear cactus. What's next on our list?
Let's not forget about ginseng. It's been a staple in traditional medicine for centuries.
Ginseng, yeah. I've definitely heard of that one. But what's the connection to blood sugar?
Well, modern research is starting to validate its potential for blood sugar regulation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jeff actually calls ginseng one of the most powerful herbs he's seen in his practice for blood sugar control.
Wow. That's a pretty bold statement.
It is, but the science seems to back it up.
So how does ginseng work its magic on blood sugar?
Ginseng contains these compounds called ginsenosides,
Ginsenosides, okay.
and these ginsenosides seem to have a direct impact on blood sugar control. They help to stabilize insulin and glucagon levels.
Right, insulin and glucagon, those are the two key hormones that regulate blood sugar. Right.
Exactly. And they need to be in balance. Too much or too little of either one can throw things off. But ginseng, with its ginsenosides, might be able to help keep things in harmony.
It's like ginseng is the conductor of the blood sugar orchestra.
I like that analogy. Keeping everything in sync.
So ginseng, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But are there any downsides, any side effects we should be aware of?
That's a good question. And it's important to remember that even natural remedies can have side effects.
Right, natural doesn't always equal safe.
Exactly. With ginseng, Jeff mentioned some possible side effects like sleep problems, breast pain, changes in blood pressure, and stomach issues.
Okay, so not a completely harmless herb then.
Right. It's another reminder to listen to your body and always consult with your doctor before starting any new herbal regimen, even if it seems like a gentle, natural option.
Always good advice.
Huh.
Okay, so far we've been focusing on individual herbs like they're soloists in a concert or something.
Yeah, each one with its own unique melody.
But Jeff's article also talks about the bigger picture, the different ways that herbs can actually influence blood sugar.
Right, the mechanisms behind the magic, so to speak.
Exactly. It's not always just about one herb doing one thing.
It's often a symphony of actions happening within the body.
I like that, the symphony of actions.
Jeff outlines several key mechanisms, including direct blood sugar regulation, improvements in insulin sensitivity, anti-inflammatory effects, and antioxidant properties.
Okay, let's break those down a little. Starting with blood sugar regulation, how do these herbs actually work to regulate blood sugar directly?
Well, they've got a few tricks up their sleeves. Some herbs might actually slow down the digestion of carbohydrates, which can help prevent those rapid blood sugar spikes after meals.
No, so it's like they're putting the brakes on that sugar rush.
Exactly. Others might work by enhancing insulin sensitivity, which means helping your cells use glucose more efficiently.
So it's like making those cells more receptive to insulin's message.
Right. And some herbs might even stimulate your pancreas to produce more insulin.
Wow, so they're working on multiple fronts to keep those blood sugar levels in check.
They are. It's pretty impressive.
Okay, what about insulin sensitivity? We've touched on it a bit, but remind me again why it's so important for blood sugar control.
Insulin sensitivity is key because it basically determines how well your cells respond to insulin signals. Insulin's job is to tell those cells, hey, let's take in some glucose from the bloodstream. But if your cells become resistant to insulin, that glucose can't get in as easily, and that leads to higher blood sugar levels.
So it's like insulin is knocking on the door, but no one's answering.
That's a good way to put it. And certain herbs, as Jeff suggests, might actually help improve that sensitivity, making your cells more responsive to insulin's message.
So they're like opening the door and letting the glucose in.
Exactly. It's really remarkable to think about how these natural compounds can have such a profound impact on our cellular processes.
It really is. It shows how powerful nature can be.
It does. And it highlights the complexity of herbal medicine. These aren't just simple remedies. They're often operating on multiple levels within the body.
Yeah, it's not just about taking one herb for one symptom. It's about understanding the bigger picture.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to anti-inflammatory effects. We hear a lot about inflammation these days, but how does it connect to blood sugar?
Well, chronic inflammation, even low-grade inflammation that you might not even notice, can actually contribute to insulin resistance.
Oh, really? So inflammation can make it harder for your cells to use glucose effectively.
Exactly. It's like adding another obstacle to that whole process. And Jeff points out that a lot of herbs contain phytochemicals, which are natural compounds with anti-inflammatory properties.
So by reducing inflammation, these herbs could indirectly help improve blood sugar control.
That's the idea. It's about addressing those underlying factors that contribute to imbalanced blood sugar.
It's like getting to the root of the problem, not just treating the symptoms.
Exactly. And speaking of addressing underlying factors, let's not forget about those antioxidant properties.
Right. We talked about that a bit with amla, how it's packed with antioxidants that protect our cells from damage.
And remember, high blood sugar can increase oxidative stress, which leads to even more free radical damage.
So it's like a vicious cycle.
It can be. But Jeff suggests that the antioxidant power of certain herbs might help counter that damage, safeguarding cells and tissues, including those all-important beta cells in the pancreas.
It's like a multi-layered defense system, protecting our bodies from the inside out.
That's a great way to put it. And that's one of the things that makes herbal medicine so fascinating. It's often working on multiple levels at the same time.
I have to admit, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by all this information.
It's a lot to take in, I know. But that's what makes these deep dives so rewarding.
Yeah, it's like we're peeling back the layers of knowledge.
We are, and hopefully with each layer, we're gaining a deeper understanding of how these natural remedies might support our health.
Absolutely. So we've talked about individual herbs, and we've talked about the mechanisms by which they might work. But Jeff's article also goes into this whole other area, herbal formulations for diabetes.
Ah, yes. So it's not always just about using one herb in isolation, right?
Right. Sometimes it's about combining their strengths.
Exactly. Jeff talks about various approaches, including Ayurvedic herbal blends, traditional Chinese medicine remedies, and even Western herbal supplements.
So many different ways to harness the power of plants.
It's incredible, isn't it? Each system has its own unique philosophy and methods, but they all share a common goal: to use the power of nature to support health and well-being.
Okay, let's dive into some of these systems. Let's start with Ayurvedic herbal blends. What makes them stand out?
Ayurveda is a holistic system of medicine that originated in India thousands of years ago. It emphasizes balance and harmony within the body, and herbal blends play a central role in this approach.
So it's not just about randomly mixing a bunch of herbs together.
No, not at all. Ayurvedic blends are carefully crafted to address specific imbalances, or doshas.
Doshas.
Yeah, it's a concept in Ayurveda that describes different mind-body types and their associated imbalances. But the key is that these blends often combine herbs that work synergistically.
Synergistic.
It means that their combined effect is greater than the sum of their individual parts. They work together in a way that enhances their individual benefits.
Oh, I love that. Teamwork makes the dream work even in the herbal world.
Exactly. And Jess mentions some well-known Ayurvedic blends like Triphala, a 3-fruit blend with potent antioxidant properties.
Of Triphala, okay. We've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's pretty popular. And then there's Chandraprabha Vati, which is said to help regulate metabolism.
So many different blends for different purposes.
And what's really remarkable is that these blends often address multiple aspects of health simultaneously. For example, a blend for blood sugar control might also include herbs that support digestion, reduce inflammation, or promote relaxation.
Wow, so it's not just about treating one symptom, it's about treating the whole person.
Precisely. That's the essence of the holistic approach.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What about traditional Chinese medicine remedies? How do they approach diabetes management?
Traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, is another ancient system with a rich history of using herbs for healing. And like Ayurveda, it also emphasizes restoring balance and harmony within the body.
So it's a similar philosophy, but with different herbs and methods.
Exactly. TCM uses its own unique diagnostic methods and herbal formulations.
And Jeff mentions that many TCM remedies have actually been studied in controlled trials with some promising results for blood sugar regulation.
Yeah, and one of the most exciting findings is that combining TCM herbal treatments with conventional hypoglycemic drugs can sometimes lead to even better outcomes than using either method alone.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
It highlights the potential for integrative approaches where natural and conventional medicine work together.
It's not always about choosing one or the other. Sometimes it's about finding the right balance.
Exactly. It's about what works best for the individual.
So what types of herbs are commonly used in TCM remedies for diabetes?
Jeff mentions ginseng, which we've already talked about, as well as bitter melon and astragalus.
Bitter melon, we touched on that one earlier too.
It's a popular choice in both Ayurveda and TCM. These herbs are thought to improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, and support overall metabolic health.
It's amazing to see how these herbs are woven into different systems of medicine, each with its own unique perspective and approach.
It speaks to the universal power of nature's healing properties, doesn't it? Now, let's shift our focus to Western herbal supplements, which are probably the most familiar format for many listeners.
Ah, yes, the bottles of capsules or extracts we see in health food stores.
Exactly. Jeff mentioned some popular choices like milk thistle capsules, cinnamon extract, and standardized ginger supplements.
So it's like taking the essence of the herb and putting it into a convenient form.
Right, and that can be really helpful for people who want the benefits of herbs but don't necessarily want to brew teas or cook with them all the time.
Makes sense. But Jeff also brings up a good point about quality control, right?
Yes, and this is really important. Because these supplements aren't regulated by the FDA in the same way as pharmaceuticals, there can be huge differences in potency and purity between different brands.
Right. We talked about that earlier.
And that's why it's crucial to choose brands that conduct third-party testing to verify the quality and safety of their products. It's also a good idea to look for supplements that are standardized, meaning they contain a consistent amount of the active compounds.
So it's not just about grabbing any bottle off the shelf. It's about doing your research and choosing wisely.
Exactly. And as we've emphasized throughout this deep dive, consulting with your doctor before starting any new herbal supplement is always the best practice, especially if you're already taking medication.
Great advice. Okay, so we've covered individual herbs, herbal formulations, and now Jeff dedicates a whole section to precautions when using herbal remedies. It's a good reminder that natural doesn't always equal risk-free.
Absolutely. He talks about potential side effects, quality and purity concerns, and importantly, the potential for interactions with medications.
Right, we can't just assume that because something comes from nature, it's automatically safe to take with any medication.
Exactly. So let's start with side effects. What are some things people should be aware of?
Okay, so like what could potentially go wrong?
Well, just like any substance, herbs can trigger allergic reactions in some people.
Oh, right, I hadn't thought about that.
It's something to be mindful of. These reactions can range from mild skin rashes to more severe respiratory problems.
Wow, so it's not always just a little sniffle or a rash. It could be more serious.
Right. It's important to be aware of any unusual symptoms after starting a new herb and to contact your doctor if you have any concerns.
Okay, good to know. What about damage to organs? Is that a possibility?
Jeff mentions that there is a possibility of damage to organs, specifically the liver and kidneys, if herbs are taken in large doses or for prolonged periods.
So it's like anything in excess can be harmful, even if it's natural.
Exactly. Moderation is key. And again, this is why it's so important to talk to your doctor before starting any new herbal regimen. They can help you determine the appropriate dosage and monitor for any potential side effects.
Makes sense. What about interactions with medications?
That's a big one. A lot of people might assume that natural remedies are harmless when combined with prescription drugs, but that's a dangerous assumption.
Right, like herbs and medications wouldn't interfere with each other.
Unfortunately, that's not always the case. Some herbs can actually interfere with how medications are absorbed or metabolized in the body.
Oh, wow. So they could make the medication less effective or even more potent.
Exactly. They could either increase or decrease drug levels, and that can have serious consequences. Jeff gives the example of St. John's wort, which is a popular herb for mood support.
St. John's wort, yeah, I've heard of that one.
Well, it can actually reduce the effectiveness of birth control pills and some heart medications.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. So it's definitely not something to take lightly.
Definitely not. And ginkgo biloba, which is often used to enhance memory and circulation, can increase bleeding risk when taken with blood thinners like warfarin.
So are many potential interactions to be aware of.
It's really crucial to talk to your doctor about all the supplements you're taking, even if they seem harmless.
Okay, I'm definitely getting the message. Talk to your doctor.
It's always the best course of action. Better safe than sorry.
Agreed. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The potential benefits of specific herbs, the different mechanisms by which they might work, and the crucial precautions to keep in mind.
We have. It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And it seems like knowledge is truly power when it comes to using herbs for blood sugar control.
I couldn't agree more. The more you know, the better equipped you are to make informed decisions about your health.
Absolutely. And speaking of knowledge, Jeff's article doesn't stop there. He also gives us a glimpse into the future of herbal diabetes management.
Oh, a peek into the future. I'm always curious about that.
Me too. What does Jeff see as the next frontier?
He highlights two key trends: the ongoing research into new herbal solutions and the development of standardized herbal products.
So it's about expanding our understanding of nature's potential A&D, making sure that the quality and consistency of herbal remedies keeps improving.
Exactly. It's like a perfect blend of cutting-edge science and ancient wisdom.
I like that. So what's happening on the research front? What kind of new discoveries are being made?
Jeff mentions ethnobotanical studies, which involve exploring traditional uses of plants for medicinal purposes.
So like learning from cultures that have been using herbs for healing for centuries.
Exactly. It's like tapping into the wisdom of generations past. Researchers are using this traditional knowledge to guide their search for new herbal remedies for diabetes, combining that ancient wisdom with modern scientific methods.
That's so cool. It's like the past informing the future.
It is. And with all the advances in technology, scientists can now screen thousands of plant extracts for their effects on blood sugar levels, opening up a whole new world of possibilities for discovering new herbal solutions.
It's like a high-tech treasure hunt for natural remedies.
That's a great way to put it. There's so much potential out there just waiting to be discovered.
That's exciting. And what about the development of standardized herbal products? What's the focus there?
It's about addressing those quality control concerns we talked about earlier. Standardization means ensuring that herbal products contain a consistent amount of the active compounds, batch after batch.
So it's about creating a standard of quality that consumers can rely on.
Exactly. It involves rigorous testing to verify the identity and purity of herbs and to detect any potential contaminants.
So it's like bridging the gap between traditional knowledge and modern scientific standards.
Precisely. And this standardization is crucial for making herbal remedies a more reliable and respected option for people seeking natural approaches to blood sugar management.
It's about bringing the best of both worlds together, the wisdom of the past and the rigor of modern science.
I agree, and I think that's a really hopeful note to end on.
It is. This whole deep dive has been incredibly eye-opening. We've journeyed from aloe vera to neem to ginseng and beyond, exploring this whole world of herbs for blood sugar control.
It's been quite an adventure, hasn't it?
It really has. We've learned about the science behind their potential benefits, the different traditions that have used them for centuries, and the importance of precautions and quality control.
And I hope it's inspired you to continue your own exploration.
Me too. I feel like we've just scratched the surface here. The world of natural remedies is so vast and constantly evolving, there's always something new to learn.
Absolutely. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep diving deep into the wonders of nature.
All right, welcome back to our herbal adventure. I'm so curious what herbs ended up in your dream blend for blood sugar control. We've explored so many already, from that familiar cinnamon we all have in our kitchens to that interesting gymnema sylvestre, the sugar distorter.
So many options.
I know. But okay, Jeff's article, it doesn't stop there. It has this whole last section on future trends in herbal diabetes management.
Ooh, the future of herbal remedies.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's on the horizon?
It's always exciting to think about where this field is headed. What's next?
For sure. So what does Jeff see as the next frontier?
Well, he points to, the ongoing research into new herbal solutions as one of the most promising areas.
So like discovering new herbs that could be beneficial.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it. There are tons of plant species out there.
Right, so many we haven't even explored yet.
Exactly. And who knows how many of them have these hidden potentials just waiting to be discovered.
It's like nature's this huge, untapped pharmacy.
It really is. And Jeff specifically mentions ethnobotanical studies. Have you heard of those?
Ethnobotanical. Remind me again what those are.
Sure. So ethnobotany is basically the study of how different cultures have traditionally used plants, for medicine, for food, all sorts of things.
Oh, right, like learning from the wisdom of different cultures.
Exactly. It's like tapping into the knowledge that's been passed down for generations, those practices that have stood the test of time.
That's so fascinating. So you're using this traditional knowledge to find new remedies for diabetes.
Yeah. They're combining this ancient wisdom with modern scientific methods.
I like that, bridging that gap between the past and the present.
Right. It's like the best of both worlds. So, in addition to exploring those traditional uses, what other kinds of modern techniques are they using to identify these potential new herbal stars?
Yeah, that's a good question. How do they even find these herbs?
Well, scientists now have these really advanced screening methods that allow them to test thousands of plant extracts.
Thousands.
I know, it's incredible. And they're specifically looking at how these extracts affect blood sugar levels.
Oh, wow. So they're searching for compounds that could like maybe boost insulin production or improve insulin sensitivity.
Yeah, or even reduce inflammation or
Mm.
protect those beta cells in the pancreas, the ones that make insulin.
It's like a high-tech treasure hunt for natural remedies.
I like that. A perfect way to describe it. Okay, so we've got the exploration of new herbs, but Jeff also highlights the importance of developing standardized herbal products.
Right. Standardized, that means making sure the quality is consistent, right?
Exactly. And that's so important for the future of herbal medicine, for it to be taken seriously.
Yeah, I get that. Because right now, it feels like the supplement industry is kind of like, well, the Wild West, right?
Yeah, a little bit. It's not as tightly regulated as pharmaceuticals, and that can lead to variations in potency and purity between different brands and even between batches of the same product.
Right. You never know exactly what you're getting.
That's the problem. So how does standardization help with that, make herbal remedies more reliable?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
Okay, so basically standardization means setting specific criteria for the quality of herbal products.
Okay, so like rules that everyone has to follow.
In a way, yeah. It includes things like verifying the plant species used, testing for the presence and concentration of the active compounds, and making sure there aren't any contaminants in the products,
Contaminants, like what?
like heavy metals or pesticides, things like that.
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, it's really important. So it's about creating a system where consumers can trust that what they're getting is actually what's on the label.
Right, so there's transparency and accountability.
Exactly. And this kind of quality control, it's really crucial for making herbal remedies a more respected and reliable option.
Yeah, it legitimizes the whole field, right?
It does. And it gives people more confidence in choosing natural approaches for their health. And, it kind of brings us full circle to what we talked about earlier about bridging that gap between traditional knowledge and modern scientific standards.
Right, it's about combining the best of both worlds.
Exactly. And that's how we can ensure that these ancient remedies, these powerful plants, can be safely and effectively integrated into our modern lives.
I love that. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. We've explored this whole world of herbs, from those common kitchen spices to exotic botanicals, uncovering their potential benefits, the science behind them, and the importance of precautions and quality control.
It has been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It really has. And, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that knowledge is power, especially when it comes to our health.
I couldn't agree more. The more we understand about these natural remedies, the better equipped we are to make informed decisions about how to use them safely and effectively.
Absolutely. And we always encourage our listeners to continue their own research, to dive deeper into the topics that resonated with them.
Right, and to always consult with their healthcare provider before starting any new supplement or making any changes to their treatment plan.
That's so important. And remember, this is just the beginning. The world of natural remedies is vast and constantly evolving.
There's always something new to learn, always new discoveries being made.
So stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring the incredible power of nature. And that's a wrap for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.